Did you call him Map Walsh? I didn't. I wish I did though. I didn't want to you don't want to get kicked out, okay? You can't be too wacky. That's what right now is for. Right now is for the wackiness. While I'm up, I need to be able to get my question out as like quickly and succinctly as possible so they don't kick you out. I was actually expecting there to be a lot more people there. I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't like completely expecting, but I was kind of thinking that there was probably going to be a sort of like counter protest there like against him. I'm gonna tell you, no, nobody was really outside doing anything. Did anybody show up to like cause any ruckus, or were they there at all? No, it was a pretty quiet event. It wasn't even no ruckus at all. It wasn't even a full event. So like, I'm going to tell you this right now, like 30% of the seats or so were just like not filled. It was not a sold out show in any regard at all. It was not packed really in any regard. The only reason why anybody could even call it packed is because they forced like there to be no seats in between people. So you couldn't sit where you wanted. You had to like file in like a single file line and sit specifically where they tell you to. But yeah, it was honestly pretty good that there weren't that many people there. It made it much easier to be able to ask questions. There were only really like 8-9 people who got up to ask questions at all, honestly, which is great because both me and Alec were able to get our questions answered. He was sucking his own dick for a little bit about like how epic it is for him to still be doing talks on his What is a Woman meme-mentary. Well, he said to everybody, and also I guess to himself, that like he thought it was so amazing that he's still doing speeches on the movie because he thinks that it made some sort of massive cultural impact, and that's why conservative organizations keep trying to have him speak at conservative talks sponsored by conservative multi-millionaires. He did like the same old like song and dance. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was like a little boring. I think he thought that there were going to be more people. Like a lot of people were just kind of there, you know. I thought it was quite interesting. A lot of people were simply just there. After his little speech, they opened it up to Q&A. Oh yeah, wait, my bad. Where's my phone? Here, before we get to the Q&A, I'll talk a little bit about some of these like things that he said, because I wrote some stuff down. I thought it was interesting. I didn't write down everything, but like a couple of things that I thought was like, what the heck? He said specifically that the whole trans thing was the most important fight of our generation, like ever. Like the most important fight, not climate change or, you know, world, or like the possibility of world wars or like nuclear proliferation. And I think he thinks that. I think that from what I gathered, I think he believes that, because I think he thinks that like almost every other political issue that we have in society is like downstream of transgenders being allowed to live. He said like back in the day, you used to be killed for coming out as trans. The society has only gotten more accepting, but the trans people are still killing themselves. Isn't that curious? And it's just like, what the hell are you what are you talking about, man? The hell's going on? And that's what I think's going on, is that he just thinks that like everything is downstream, or a lot of things, at least social issues, are completely downstream of this whole trans thing. He tried to give like a whole argument about like he kind of went down the route that I've seen a lot of these types of anti-trans activists go, and it's interesting seeing it in like real time. The whole it's how it's like supposed to be, or nature, you know what I mean? Making those like nature claims or how it's supposed to be claims, right? Like these things aren't how it's supposed to be when it comes to like intersex people, right? Like, what do you mean? How is something supposed to be? Because that gets out of the question of specifically biology, and it gets into the question of more ideology. Right? He tried to make some anecdote about how if somebody was like talking to aliens, I guess, and he was trying to be like, if you tried to explain to an alien what human beings are, would you say that they, like, humans have 2 legs? Would that be wrong? Right? And he would be like, no, you wouldn't say that. You would totally tell the alien that humans have 2 legs. And technically, it's because like he said, people without legs don't disprove that because they're supposed to have legs. Well, my thing is like, when it comes to this question, I think it gets more into like philosophy, but we'll have to look into this a little bit more. How do you know that something is like supposed to be a certain way? Like if somebody's born without legs, are they really like supposed to have legs? We just think that they should have legs because we just think that people are typically like happier or better with legs. But does that really mean that they're like supposed to have legs? I don't think that nature has a specific, like, nothing like necessarily is supposed to happen. It's all just mutations at the end of the day. Everything about you is simply a mutation. But yeah, I mean, if that was the case, if you just said, but like he thinks it's like a great take, but if you just said, oh yeah, humans have 2 legs and that's kind of it, and then you told that to the aliens, but then there was somebody with like without like a full leg, or without any legs or missing one leg or something, would they consider that person a human? Now, obviously, it would be on a spectrum. Yeah, some people have legs, one leg ideology. What do you think is better, one leg ideology, or three hole ideology? Right. I thought that was just, I don't know. I just thought that part was strange. And then he also, apparently his answer to the whole like intersex question is that intersex people are still male or female. They're just like a different flavor of male and female because they're supposed to be normal, but they're not. And so we can just look at them and be like, that's not a new person. It's like it's the same sex, but like a different flavor of like another sex that they're actually a part. They're just like a category in that sex. It's actually the same exact argument of like tall women, short women, big booby, small booby, no booby women all the same. It's like when you add caramel to vanilla ice cream. Now it's vanilla ice cream with caramel and not caramel vanilla ice cream, I guess. I wish I could ask him a bunch of more questions, but up there you can really only ask one, and it has to be like a pretty short one too, and you can't expand on it too much, unfortunately. If I had to ask him that question, then why wouldn't trans women just be considered infertile women at that point? I guess non baby making women, if that's the case, but whatever. He also made this super weird comment. It was suicide rates throughout history prove that trans ideology is new, since if trans people did exist back in the day, and if society was less accepting of trans people back in the day, then we would see like a whole bunch of mysterious suicides and murders all throughout history and that we can like attribute to trans people being killed or like committing suicide. And that's how we know that that it's new and not like throughout history, because we would see like random spikes of sewer sliding. And apparently, he also claimed that suicide rates are the highest that they've ever been in like all of history. Is that even true? Because I feel like even still today, sewer slide rates were higher during like the Great Depression and stuff, but I don't know, maybe that's just me. There are plenty of people who've gamed it. Yeah, can you name a society past like before 1930 or whatever that tracked like trans people mortality? Has anyone done that? But okay. Hi Shark, what up? Hey friend. I don't think he fully grasped the question I asked him. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think he did fully grasp the question, but I think he really wanted to dance around it though. I don't think he really wanted to answer that question straight up. They kept playing his bro's intro to his like talk show over and over again. I don't know, there's like a playlist of non-copyright like there's like it's just like a Home Depot music just played over and over again. So that's what we had to listen to for like 30 minutes before bro showed up. I think it was specifically to weaken our mental before he got on stage, right? Because it was just this for a while. Like imagine sitting there for like 30 minutes as they just play that over and over again. Oh yeah, so this happened the other day, okay? Before Walshy boy went on to speak, a couple of people at the school did something kind of epic, where they were taking down flyers of Walsh that they were putting up, because they were putting up like a bunch of them, and they were trying to bill him as a like LGBTQIA plus speaker. And so people were taking down the posters like this shit's cringe.
Why are you tearing down our flyers?
I have the right to.
Why are you so scared? Why are you so scared of Matt Walsh? He's literally just telling the truth. A man can't become a woman. Can you
so true, buddy. He's just telling. Don't leftists hate it when people just be telling the truth? Can you imagine that people disagree with my political positions? Crazy, don't you think?
Woman is?
Like, why? An answer, ask a professional, because I'm a college student in physics. That's not my
It's not that hard.
Let me ask my question.
Matt Walsh is literally just saying the truth.
Oh my gosh, they just started stalking. How far did they like chase this guy? Damn. What the hell? How far were they chasing this guy? They're about to follow bro back to his dorm. I would say be careful around these guys, because what these type of people do when they get up in your face like that is they're trying to bait you into doing something like hitting them or knocking the phone out of their hand or getting aggressive, so they can either get clips or make an attempt to get you like kicked out of your school or reprimanded. Okay, so just be very careful, be tactful. More likely than not, the best thing to do is just to not speak to them at all, like at all. And that will usually go by better than anything else. Anyways, let's skip to my question. All right, so here we go. Here's me.
It's clinical depression and it's clinical anxiety, and we need drugs to fix it. We live in, that.
Oh, me and my car. I love this cardigan. I'm sorry, guys. I just had to get an excuse to wear the cardigan. I can't lie. I needed it.
Hello, Mr. Walsh. It's nice to see you. I've watched a lot of your content.
I have. I'm a big fan. I'm a huge fan, honestly. Dripped out? Massive fan. You do you?
Hello, Mr. Walsh. It's nice to see you. I've watched a lot of your content.
Appreciate it.
No problem. I wanted to ask the question. You said before, virtually every culture has its own child into adult initiation, almost all of them before the age of 18. And not only that, 16-year-old girls are mature enough to make their own decisions and even get pregnant and start families as well. And you even said 13-year-olds, if expected in society to act like 23-year-olds, that's what you'll get. So my question is that you, I would imagine, as you've made clear here, I think, are against these types of medical interventions when it comes to transgenderism, trans ideology, however you would call it. Why would you say that these types of people are of the age of, to sip beer, be full-fledged adults, at least should be in the eyes of the legal status, but also, in quote, what you said, I believe on Twitter, that these are children under 18 when referring to trans medical care and services?
Yeah, so much of what you've pulled there is from, I think it's from a Media Matters hit piece about a year ago, pulling comments from 10 years before that. And the point that...
Yeah, my thing is, he was like, I wanted to stop him there, but I wanted to really be able to get like an answer. Because I wish they showed him more, because while I was asking, I really wish they showed him more, because like while I was asking the question, he was like all over that podium. I can't lie. He was like shifting around in his seat like a decent amount. And I was like, all right. I mean, you can see it on his face there. I mean, he was like, oh, all right. He was huffing and puffing a little bit.
Medical care and services.
Yeah, so much of what you've pulled there is from, I think it's from a Media Matters hit piece about a year ago, pulling comments from 10 years before that. And the point that I was making there is simply a historical point, that back through history, you find that people used to get married a lot younger. And so they didn't have this pregnancy was not sort of the crisis, no matter what age it happened. The pregnancy was not often considered sort of the crisis that it is now, because people got married younger. They started their journey into adulthood at a younger age. We don't live.
Okay, so sure, I guess, but they also lived way shorter. I wish I could like talk to him about this. Like, I guess, but we wouldn't call that ideal. Simply because it happened in the past does not mean that that's like a good thing at all. Like 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old girls should not be getting pregnant. That's not something that they should be doing. He said specifically that they're of the most fertile age and time to get pregnant before, right?
In that culture anymore. That used to be the culture that we lived in. And we also live in a culture now where we have this kind of extended adolescence that goes beyond the age of 18 and even up to 25 and beyond, where we treat even adults.
I wouldn't say that we have an adolescent age. Like, people wouldn't call a 25-year-old an adolescent. You're still developing. I mean, by his very nature, right? I mean, specifically, we all know that, at least for guys, our brains aren't fully developed until the age of 25. So if that's the case of what we're talking about, then like, yeah, technically they are not full adults if we're talking about fully developed brains. But I don't think anybody's calling a 25-year-old an adolescent. Yeah, people used to, dude, bacterial infections was like the #1 cause of death, bro. You walk on the farm and you scrape your hand, bro, it's over for you.
Like they're essentially children, which I've talked about as well. So we don't want to treat adults like they're children, but we also have to understand the psychological capacity of actual children, which is why performing a life-altering surgery on a child,
I had to burp there, sorry.
or giving them, for example, cross-sex hormones, which can happen at the age of 14 or younger, which sterilizes them. You know, what you're making life-altering changes to
Got burped on him mogging. Burp to assert dominance. I burp on you, Mr. Wolf. It wouldn't surprise me he was talking about every slur in the book. Yeah, I don't know, I was just holding, I was waiting for him to answer. I was waiting for him to answer the question. He wasn't getting to the question. He's now talking about like how he started off by talking about how like, well, we don't want to treat adults like children. Okay, but I was specifically talking about children like adults, specifically like 14, 12, 13, you know?
their body, but they're sacrificing things about themselves that they can't possibly understand. Like they're making decisions that aren't really decisions because they're not old enough to make them, but they're making decisions for kind of the older version of themselves. Okay. So at the age of 14, I know I'm saying a lot more than you needed, but at the age of 14, but they're making decisions, like they're making decisions that aren't really decisions because they're not old enough to make them, but they're making decisions for kind of the older version of themselves. Okay. So at the age of 14, I know I'm saying a lot more than you needed, but at the age of 14, the child is making the decision that I'm never going to have kids again in the future. And yeah, at the age of 14, you might think that. When I was 14, I thought that. When I was 24, I thought I'd never have kids. When I was 26, I had 2. You know, now I have 6. So kids at that age are not equipped to make those kinds of decisions.
Okay, but my question was more of, you just now, you called them kids, but do you, like, were these not your words, or do you like change your opinion? Because what I'm confused about is before you would say things along the lines of these are like adults or should be in the eyes of either culture or society, but now you're saying in this age range of like 13 to 16 or 19, in that age range, they're now children. Because I would imagine that giving birth for, you know, female-bodied people, females, is a life-altering decision, one possibly even greater since you're bringing a new life into the world than just altering your own. So are the
right? Beat him. He was kind of getting away from the question there. I need to bring him back. I need to bring him back. Body, because I'm like, how in the world can you sit here and say altering your own body in life is apparently more altering, is more damaging or more of a bigger decision than bringing somebody else into the world and then taking care of them for minimum 18 years probably. You're at least like anywhere near a decent parent, right?
Or are these children, or are all these adults?
These are children. I mean, under the age of 18 are children, and even though.
So here's what's super curious, because now he's like their children. So if that's the case, then his own words, he would say that now he was advocating for like child marriage and child birth. In his own words, now he says, now, I mean, like, unless he's just going to say he wasn't, then, well, there it is. Do child parents have parental rights? I don't know, maybe, I guess. It'll checkmate. Yeah, there has to admit he's wrong or dig a deeper hole. Yeah, it's just like, because I think he's going now with like, oh, they're children, but he specifically never backed off of the idea of like extended adolescence being a problem. But I guess what he would say that now it's above 18 and not 16 anymore. And so so these old comments, I mean, they're still going to hover over him. And I still have questions about them. I wish I could ask more questions, but these comments would still hover over him because now he's saying that back in the day, he used to advocate for child pregnancy. Yeah, is the Matt Walsh of today advocating for child pregnancy, or was the Matt Walsh of 10 years ago advocating for child pregnancy? And you've thought of his worldview more than he has? This math ain't math, and I'm going to be honest with you.
We have this problem of extended adolescence that goes way into adulthood. You know, really your prefrontal cortex is not fully developed until you're 25.
Okay. So even in like specifically, marriages between these people and giving birth, you would say that's still child pregnancy, and those are children making that decision and giving birth?
Yes, I'm against child pregnancy, if that's your question.
Okay.
Oh no. The low amounts of claps were kind of okay. Okay. Like I'm just okay, so the last thing here was just kind of with applause in there, right? Scattered applause is concerning. Looking into this. Looking into this. They know, they can tell. Yeah, they didn't like, I don't think they like that one. Because there's a lot of people who were clapping beforehand for a lot of these ending questions, but like not here. I mean, you heard before I started, like I started asking my question, right? Like,
we have a message.
I mean, there were more people. It was just kind of, you can smell the blood in the water. There were a decent chunk of haters, but that's what we were there for. Yeah. I don't know. It's just like, I feel like after bringing some of those comments, I got a lot of people thinking about him. We can talk about like after this later, but yeah, I think bro's been I think he was a little nervous around this question specifically because, and I think he kind of got himself here because this is something that I would say, like, I'm against child pregnancy, right? But when I'm reading off his own comments and he goes, yeah, I just like, I don't agree with child pregnancy, when he very clearly said like the real problem is our society and not children giving birth beforehand, when it could easily just be both think and children giving birth are both actual problems. He was mad right there. I don't think he likes answering this question. I don't think he likes reliving. I don't think he likes the idea of these comments following him. You genuinely stance the fuck up on him. Stop being so damn cool. Sigma stance. I can't fuck up in the Sigma hat. Like, come on. But yeah, I got what I think I wanted out of that. It was either him going to be like, oh hell yeah, I stand by all of that, and hell yeah, children should be giving, and hell yeah, like 16-year-olds are adults, because he's made like a lot of comments. Like he specifically said 16, 17-year-olds are adults and everything. That sip of beer comment is a direct quote from him. He's like joining the military, getting a job, stuff like that, are all things that he said that 16-year-olds should be able to do, and how they're actual adults and how they could actually like have jobs and stuff like that. So he's now saying, I guess, agreeing with us that was like really weird, really creepy and weird comments to kind of justify that way of life back then, simply because they were young enough to be able to do it, or kicked out of the house long enough. I don't know. Somebody was like, I don't know. Somebody comments, what? Those views are contradictory. But I think I think what So what do you guys think? What do you think about my performance here? Huh? I wish I could go more into it. I may have had like a little extra time to ask a little more. I didn't want to take up too much time. But I've never seen bro answer questions on this ever. And I needed, the people need answers. I just hope that this sparks other questions, asking inside the community and around and everything, because like this whole 13-year-old can act like, I found a new quote by him actually. This is a direct Matt Walsh quote. He said, quote, if we expect a 23-year-old to act like a 13-year-old, that's what we'll get. But if we expect a 13-year-old to act like a 23-year-old, that's what we'll get. And so like thinking about all that, I'm like, what the hell does that mean? And so that's why I brought that to him, when that quote where he specifically said, if you expect a 13-year-old to act like a 23-year-old, then they simply just will. Whatever, go on his live stream. Sure. I don't think he really talks to people on the show, but sure, I guess. He did seem a bit nervous, but overall good. I was trying to word myself correctly in the responses, because I didn't want to, the biggest thing is that I didn't want to leave traps for him to be able to really like escape out of. He already kind of tried it originally when he kind of like switched topics there a bit, and I had to come back and ask him about, so are these adults or all these children? Are these not your words? But yeah, I forgot to take my anti-anxiety meds. So I was focusing a lot on like asking questions and kind of like zeroing everything out. Because I got to tell you, it's a big hot seat. Obviously, it's a room full of people who are like Walsh glazers and everything, and they every single time you walk up, they separate you from everybody else in the crowd and in the line, and they put like a big light on you, and then somebody else controls the microphone. You're not allowed to hold the microphone, right? So yeah, came out very good. Appreciate it. That sweater is a slide. Thank you. I like it. I always try and find a good excuse to wear that cardigan. It's very nice. I just got here probably good. They got snap. Yeah, they got the snap. I got the. Be careful if you ever see a red dot on me while I'm talking. Just remember, they're looking. You killed it with a non-confrontational tone. That was one of the biggest things, because if you give them reasons to be able to like, you know, like scuttle out of your questions, either make it about, oh, you're like so triggered, lefty liberal, triggered by being, you spend 30 minutes in line just to be triggered, right? All that type of like bullshit. So you got to be careful when talking to these these guys or in this community or in everything, to like communities like this, because it's just like really important to be able to get out your questions, because they'll find a lot of reasons to be able to skedaddle, fueled by the confrontation. Yeah, I think it'll be very hard for them to be able to make a clip out of this or something. So we'll see. We'll see. I just hope that if he goes out to talk more people ask him questions to expand on this, because there's more things that need to be said about this. He needs to answer more questions about this whole thing. I think next round of questions should be like, does he actually condemn what he said previously about how like 13-year-olds would act like 23-year-olds if you expect them to? I should have held the girl's forearm. What, just like gripped her arm like right there with the little bracelets? This girl was suffering, if I'm going to be honest with you. She kept trying to like hold her own arm up because she wasn't allowed to let anybody else touch the microphone. Yo, okay, so they checked. Okay, you couldn't bring any bags. All right, let me tell you that right now. They were like super stringent on no bags. None. This girl had one of those like little girl purses that's kind of like a really small bag that can like fit a phone, and they were like, no bags, and she had to like literally debate them into letting her bring her thing in. She like turned it open for them and everything, right? It was like TSA or something. It was crazy. I had to take literally everything out of my pockets, and everybody going in had to be hit with like a. They had like multiple cops there with like metal detectors everywhere. It was wild. Okay. Afterwards, I got a lot of people. I think the reason why I think I really got them thinking is because afterwards, after my question, there was literally just one other question, and then we all like got up and left, and he walked off the stage and everything. After I asked my question, there were a lot of people who came up to me and who were like, yo, good question. There was this group of ladies who I was talking to beforehand, who I kind of interviewed a little bit beforehand, who were like, that's a good ass question, my dude. There and when I got into the bathroom, there were actually two guys that came into the bathroom after I was washing my hands, and they were like, they walked in, they looked at me, and they were like, hey, looks like we got a celebrity. They were like, you kind of stumped them on that question. I think a lot of people were picking up that like, this face was not conveying a lot of strength in this answer. You know what I mean? Right. And yeah, I got there. So in the bathroom, I was kind of asked questions about it, and I kind of expanded on it. How I was like, you know, it's kind of these questions, these, you know, ideas about 13-year-olds and 16-year-olds being full adults who can have kids or whatever and make adult decisions who are mature. It's kind of weird, don't you think? And they're like, that quote's kind of weird. They were like, he didn't really seem to want to answer that question too much. I was like, you guys kind of got it. You're right. You kind of got a point there. And afterwards, both me and Alec got congratulated for our questions by some other people who were there. Yeah, there was a decent amount of people who were like, oh, you guys make it, because we were like two of the only people really making actual criticisms of his ideology up there. Everybody else was like in glazing mode. I thought I was in goddamn Dunkin' Donuts with the amount of glazing that was going on for everything this man had to say most of the time. Cool stuff. Oh, apparently Matt Walsh viewers stink. So the girly, Miss Lissa, you know, Miss Shark, I took her as well because she just got off of work. She wanted to come with me. We could like spend the day together. We went to go get boba and everything. It was nice. It was nice. I realized that I kind of noticed that she was leaning, but in my mind, she was just leaning on me. But afterwards, I realized that apparently she was leaning away from the guy next to her because apparently bro stunk, right? And they made us, and after we sat down originally, she was like, yo, bro kind of stinky. Like we had to get up and then like close in a gap that was there, right? They made us do that. So she had to get up and then like sit in the seat that he was in, which had been permeated with his stink. And apparently what she said is that he smelled like coins and wet dog. I guess. Like imagine if like a wet dog was coated in like fresh pennies and that was like sitting right next to you going like I felt so bad doing that to her. I had no clue that what was going on. The girl next to me didn't stink. We didn't stink. We both smelled fine. I still smell like my cologne. Women have more sensitive sense of smell. That is true. Them girlies do be having big sniffers on them, if I'm going to be honest with you. And they use them to their heart's content, whether they want to or not. But this unfortunate thing is apparently their heart is never really content because they just be sniffing like crazy all the time. I don't know. I'd love to bother the young. I don't know, but at the end of the day, I think it turned out pretty well. I think me and Alec asked some pretty good questions. He was not. I don't think he was super happy with He definitely wasn't really happy with my question. I'll tell you that right now. Which is good. Heck that guy. I'd love to bother the conservatives at that conference more, honestly. So if I have the opportunity to like bother them, I'll always take that if I can, if I have the time to drive out there. What is a child? I really wish I would have asked him like in that, what is an adult? I feel like if anybody's ever able to like find him, like acquire that man, ask him what's an adult. I want to know what his feelings of like an adult are. Like what's going on here? Adult human child. But yeah. Crazy stuff.